So, one very interesting thing that I've noticed is Thomas Mahler and his Moon Studios have been steeped in controversy for, a while. Just recently, there were reports that the studio might close down. And this is a studio that worked with Xbox on Ori. And, since they've been on their own, it's been very interesting. I don't know what it is. Perhaps the, creator found himself in the middle of some kind of a issue, and these gaming journals are, in my opinion, in some cases, they can be the worst when it comes to a person's reputation. Now, Xbox has faced a lot of this kind of a barrage in their business, and seeing a independent team of some kind face what I think, according to them, are these kinds of attacks are just weird. Now, there's also the side of the story that we haven't heard. So take this with the factor that this is coming from one party. Thomas Mahler said this, and he said, "I find it positively shocking that we have games journalists write scathing articles about us by lurking in our own Discord channels, literally trying to pick apart any sentence I'm posting in order to then create controversy. But when I post information like this, you'd think would generate a huge reaction since I'm making actual allegations that have been verified by high-profile members within our industry over the last 3 years. Not a single one of these journalist outlets picks up on it. Not even to make us look bad. It's amazing how blatantly obvious this is. One would think that the same journalists should do some research. Now, someone should try and chase the truth or follow the money, but nope, when it comes time for gaming press to actually show some journalistic integrity, literally none can be found." I put this out here because I've been covering this whole gaming industry with the way Xbox and PlayStation have handled their business. And it's been very shocking to me how a lot in the gaming industry carried a one-minded approach the moment Xbox actually kicked off its No Red Lines campaign, how they continued to want to see Xbox in the light of the PlayStation that they had fomented to be. And you know what's crazy is a lot of these games journalists eventually are now going, independent, right? But many of them still carry the weight of what it is that they kind of held when they worked in the media outlets. And their analyses were very weird. In fact, when PlayStation was going through that whole, data breach and stuff, do y'all remember? Now, I won't call Kind of Funny games journalists, but do y'all remember how they kind of wanted to be tepid when it came down to, PlayStation's, breach, while they had already made fun of a Microsoft Xbox-ish breach previously? This is because, for some strange reason within the gaming industry, their agendas, their allegiances, and all of this stuff, and you see it. This Thomas Mahler issue, honestly, doesn't in any way affect, me, but I'm bringing it out here to show the bias that has been levied against Xbox and even some other gaming press. Now, Xbox is, they're big boys and gals. They can take care of themselves. I just wanted to show that this kind of thing can bleed its way into even creators that are trying to make their way and just hustle through a very tight gaming industry. He said, "That's honestly a shameful display of journalistic values would mean anything to this outlets. Heads should be rolling around right now. These are the news outlets gamers are reading. They pen the words a lot of you believe, and I've never seen a more blatant display that actual journalistic integrity isn't a thing in the gaming press." Games journalism is an oxymoron. It's a joke at this point, because you kind of sometimes have to go ahead and wonder why these folk even bother penning anything if they're not going to do the hard work. I think we're facing a situation where attention is a currency, and a lot of these folk must get it at any cost. Hence, when you see them in a position like this, talking about things that they know nothing of, or talking about things that at the end of the day, they basically foment or they are aware of, but still ignore the truth to go ahead and still lie, you find yourself in a very interesting place at the end of the day. So what is the context of this Thomas Mahler's post? He said, "My point is, the main reason why Moon has been soaked in controversy in recent years is because of, this particular stuff." Like he says, in controversy, is because a quite corrupt journalist started a hate campaign against us by interviewing two people we laid off while making outrageous claims of us being, wow, and all kinds of stuff. Wow, look at the stuff that they're accusing them of. For 12 years before that happened, you only heard positive things about Moon Studios. So quite convenient how we were suddenly portrayed as a scum of the earth after the article dropped. people from the industry reached out to inform me that this article was penned in order to get unions into the games industry, and that Takahashi guy literally takes money from any source and then sells his voice, and nobody in the industry seems to care about that. He's literally been doing this since the 90s, accepting book deals and other in-kind rewards to then write critically about this or that company. The funny thing is that everyone knows about this, but nobody dares to say it out loud. Who's this Takahashi guy? I don't care who they are, man. If I hope we don't cross digital paths and they're saying something weird. I'd be willing to look into that. And why doesn't he harm the large companies in the same way? Because they're funding his annual summit. All that information is public. Just do some research. Here's him literally taking a paycheck from the Saudi government, calling Mr. Bin Salman a great guy. Don't misunderstood. ResetEra.com. This is a Reset Era thing. Interesting. And we're still getting attacked over this years after. But sure, he talked about this other person. And yes, I 100% take responsibility for my failures. I tried to cram too much content into Breach because lack of content was a major criticism when we originally launched. And then this is what basically went down. Interesting. A very interesting set of events that this individual is getting this accusation of having taken money from big companies and such. So I guess this is a lesson to learn when you look. And like I said, this is an example and it's one side of the story, right? But look at the accusations that are being made here. That this person who's supposed to be, reporting things for people to basically wrap their minds around is pretty much being allegedly on the payroll of bigger companies and is not writing scathing articles about them in this particular regard. So it's very funny, though, to go ahead and see this and put in context everything that's been going on in the last few years to then see the games industry change. And for some strange reason, everybody is tepid about changes that Microsoft had made earlier, but were heavily criticized over. But now that PlayStation and others are making these claims, it's kind of almost moot when you kind of think about it. It's just weird, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen. I got to tell you, when you think about it, this is wild stuff at the end of the day. But anyways, I'll get out of your hair. I'll leave you with this GK gameplay, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.
All I have to do is take these guys out.
Still got all your parts?
Trying?